Before we start, I would like to ask your help to do two things. First, tell a friend or two who you think might like the show. And second, please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The more reviews the show gets, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Thank you, and now on to the show.
They make the trek out to Burning Man for a week and a day. After a lot of work, there's a lot of play. Party, 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 drama, 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 bitch, bitch, bitch. Year after year, they come back to scratch that itch. They all say their lives have been changed. After many years, lives have been rearranged. That change is what this show is all about. You'll see the impact of Burning Man up and out. So sit back, relax, and cancel all your plans. These are the stories about the shadow of the man.
Hello, and welcome to the Shadow of the Man Show. I'm your host, Andy. You didn't know? Yep, it's that Andy. Today, our guest is the one and the only Dana Albany. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you.
So, Dana, right now, you have one of your sculptures, is it the Embarcadero in San Francisco, or your mermaid?
Yes.
Exactly? Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you're a long time artist. I've been just poring over just different books of photography, and I was just looking at what was in 2000 Bodies of Knowledge. It was just a sculpture of someone reading made all out of books rebar. I don't know. We'll talk about all that. But so what was your first year? What got you to go to Black Rock City? When was that?
Okay, so my first year was in 1994, and I was in school studying science, and this girl walked in, and she was a very striking woman, and she was all covered in dust and white, and she sat down next to me, and I'm just like, where the hell did you roll in from? And she told me that she had just been out in the desert and this whole experience and about Burning Man. Anyways, we became great friends at that moment because it sounded fascinating to me. And so this friendship just developed over the year. And then when the next year rolled around, she goes, hey, you want to go to Burning Man? And I'm like, absolutely. So I went in 1994. And I believe the population then was about 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very different. But it was it was just wonderful. It was very fun. It had theme camps, and it was so zany and wild. And I think what struck me most, you used to help pull the man up. There was ropes on either side.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of participation in being able to, help erect him and a lot of chaos and frenzy and fun and whimsy and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was truly inspired. And I think the one thing that inspired me the most was the whole idea and concept that everybody is a participant and everybody is an artist, and, and that you're supposed to participate. And it's not like, this is like some, wild freak show, but you can, join along, and I was truly inspired by that. And I was inspired by all of the creativity at that point. Mind you, it wasn't, there were sculptures, there was not the grandiose sculptures that there are today, but there were some pretty amazing sculptures back then. This man, Pepe Ozan, he used to do these operas out there, and he would build these sculptures. He came through desert site works where these artists would go out into the desert or different areas, and they would use the earth on their sculptures. And he used mud from the hot springs. He would build these metal armatures and then encase them with mud, and then do a whole performance and then light it on fire and so forth. But so that was pretty spectacular. And later on, he became a true mentor of mine and a good friend. But
did you ever participate in the opera?
In the opera, I did. Yeah, I was in the Rudra opera, and I made many things for the opera. I made several props for the opera. Pepe, it was great. And I was in, I preferred more so to be on the creative side rather than the performance side.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in Rudra, and I had a great time.
What year was Rudra?
Oh, God, that's going to elude me, but I'm going to say 98. I think it was 98.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you remember the operas?
Oh yeah. My first year was 96, and that was the Empress Zoe.
Helco.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I think I was in that one too.
Because I just interviewed oh God, I'm blanking her name. This is horrible. Justin Credible.
That's what I was going to say, Justin. Yeah, I love Justin.
Yeah, I also interviewed Paradox Pollock, and also.
Oh wow! Oh, you got all of them.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Twan was just out here, and he was telling me.
Oh, nice!
It was funny because, I always ask people to send me a picture of themselves, I could use for the episode art, right? And I was like, oh, and I always say, just kind of throw it out there, preferably something from the playa. Your first year, if you have it. I mean, some people do, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have that, But so, yeah, I mean, Twan, he's not quite bald, but, I mean, he's older, he's 60s, and so he sent me this picture of him with his long flowing hair and goatee and everything. I was like, who's this? And he was like, that's me, and I was like, wow.
I'll try and find a picture for you.
Sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah. So you went in 94 with your friend, and so only 1,000 people. I mean, I imagine it was probably a little more. I mean, Burning Man is very kind of friendly, even nowadays.
It is.
But I imagine with 1,000 people, there's probably a little more open and inviting.
It felt very open and inviting. It truly did. And I mean, mind you, I didn't know what I was getting into. So 1,000 people seemed like a lot of people to me,
Mm-hmm.
But it was very, very open and inviting and truly just wonderful. And everything was special. It's interesting to see how it's grown over the years. And I'm not one of those people that say, oh, it was better back then than it is now, because I think each has its attributes and great qualities
it's
about
always
it,
different.
Always different. Yeah. There was definitely, I think you felt a stronger sense of intimacy though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I actually took 13 years off and went back. So between 2011 and then I went back.
That's huge.
Yeah. I always jokingly tell people it's I just skipped this whole era of when it was sold out. So my last year was the first year it sold out, and then my first year back was the first year it didn't sell out. So I just kind of skipped that whole middle part where I was like, what is this whole pay for play camps and stuff? I was like, that makes no sense.
I know. Wild. I would have never ever imagined that.
It's still the core of it is still the same. I mean, some of the major differences, I always tell people, is just you don't see as many cigarette butts on the ground as before, and or glow sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Technology has changed, but also just the other thing was just walking around and just overhearing conversations. People just so many foreign languages.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's incredible.
It's really grown. I mean, so it's not the same as it was, but it's different in some ways better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
So you're studying science, and so then you start getting you get bit by the artistic bug.
I did. I absolutely did. I did not plan that whatsoever. Not in a million years. Yeah, I was studying microbiology and. Interestingly enough, I mean, I thought I was going to work for the CDC. I wanted to be, virus detector. I thought I was going to go out in the field, in different countries and, and
You're gonna
try
be the next
to.
Tony Fauci.
Pardon?
You're gonna be the next Fauci.
Yes. No. No. But I went to Burning Man. So the next year I went and I thought, ooh, maybe I can participate in something. And, and I also thought, oh, I'm going to build something. Mind you, I don't, I've never built anything in my life. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to do this. Other than I did help, like I helped these prop makers once build this structure. So I had a tiny idea, but not really. And what I did was I went and I volunteered to help build the man. And back in those days, they used to do it at this guy, Chris Campbell's house in his backyard in South San Francisco.
Oh.
It was so fun. And so, I just drove down to South San Francisco and in his backyard, they were building the man. And it was my first introduction to power tools. And prior to that, I grew up in Venice Beach. No tools, no experience whatsoever with tools. And I was studying science. So it was a radical, huge, amazing change in my life. I instantly fell in love with power tools. I loved them. I love what they could do. I love, okay, here you go. Cut, here, put this together, here's a screw. I just love the magic of it. And it was so empowering and inspiring. And I used a lot of the wood left over from the man build. And I built a camel in my little apartment in the Lower Haight, in the living room. And I built it out of the wood left over from then. Yeah, the scraps. And also I found a pallet like down the street. I used that. And chicken wire. My whole concept was I was going to paper mache this thing. So it took up the whole living room sideways. And the first attempt, I could not get it out the door. So I had to like slim it down. And I lived with this silly paper mache camel, for about a month and a half. And I didn't even know how I was going to get it there. But luckily enough, I had met, people from the man build. And, they said, okay, we'll get you in the truck, so it went in a truck following the man the following year. Yeah, it was really awesome. And I had some help, that came to the apartment while I was making this thing, a little structural help.
Well, that was going to be one of my first questions was like, because I remember like living in San Francisco, like, and my brother was blessed to like have this, we lived, not together, but like, we both lived in like Noe Valley, and he lived in this apartment that had possibly one of the largest backyards I'd seen in San Francisco. It was like 55 by 65. It was like this gigantic like backyard behind this duplex. And we would like throw these parties there. And then there was like this tiny little, like in the basement, he kind of like made this tiny little like workshop, but I was just imagining, it's like, okay, I'm studying microbiology and you have like some little apartment somewhere. It's like, well, where would you build anything? Because that's like one of the hardest things, actually in San Francisco. Like trying to find a space for like to build something, and then you got to transport it. And,
I did not think this plan through whatsoever. I have to tell you, I think at that point I didn't even know there were places where you build things. I knew they were building in the backyard at Chris Campbell's The Man. But when I decided I wanted to build something, it was this tiny little apartment in the Lower Haight. And there was no backyard, it was like 6 units and a rooftop. And so I just, so in my not well thought out plan, I decided to build this thing in the living room. And it was absolutely fun. I loved it. It took over the whole entire living room. And then, like I said, the first attempt was too big to get out the door. So I had to do the second attempt. And I had it like in pieces, like it was the legs were separate from the body, and it was on kind of a carrying, Yeah.
Yeah.
I got help. I learned a lot while building the man, and I met some amazing construction friends that are still friends of mine. In fact, one of them who was in charge of the build, Dan Miller.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to help build the a brain for the man out of driftwood this year. He cycles it around the city, Black Rock City, and he collects people's thoughts, and then it goes into the man, and we burn with it.
Yeah, I actually interviewed
so he's
him
carried on this
last
tradition.
year. Yeah. So yeah, he keeps doing that. Yeah, he's been every year.
He keeps doing it. He's really into it. It's beautiful, very, very beautiful. And he used to live with Larry, and Larry, had a stroke, and we both were there in the hospital while hoping for Larry to recover.
What was that? Was it 2018?
I think so. I'm the worst with dates.
Yeah.
So if I told you a date, I would probably be wrong.
That's okay.
Larry had.
It's
but
like
I have
everything.
to tell you, I met Larry then.
Oh,
I met Larry when I was helping to build the man. Helping to build the man. He was at Chris Campbell's house, and he was sitting by this cauldron, and he was melting wax. And I said, "What are you doing?" And I had no idea who he was, other than, here he was, this guy sitting there melting wax and by this huge cauldron. And he goes, "Well, we stuff burlap, in the man when we burn it." And so I sat down next to him, and I started melting these candles with him and soaking the burlap in the wax. And I swear to God, it just sparked a friendship that lasted throughout his lifetime and had a huge impact on my life. I love that guy.
Yeah, I was going to guess. It's like, you bet this guy burnt melting wax by a cauldron and profusely smoking cigarettes.
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. That was Larry. And I instantly just was charmed by his imagination and enthusiasm and wit and and so what happened was with this camel, when I brought the camel to the desert, I had no idea, I was having a lot of fun with it, but the magic for me truly happened in that moment is when I was erecting it, when I was putting it together, because it was in two pieces, and I had like these tapestries that I found, and, and when I finally got it together, people from afar thought it was a real camel.
Oh, really? Wow. Did a good job.
Yeah. It came out pretty good, I got to tell you. I loved this camel. And the beauty of what that camel did is, as I was putting it together, is that one, in the making of it, I met Larry, who became such a dear friend to me and a really important person in my life, like family. And then I also met Pepe and all the people from the opera, because they would drive by every morning as I was putting the camel together and sort of cheer me on, and as they were going to get mud. So they were off to the hot springs to get mud for their temple, their performance, or the opera. And so I met so many people. I probably met Paradox at that time. I'm sure I did. And I met several friends that to this day are still very close friends of mine. And Pepe became an absolute mentor after that. When I continued to make art after that, it was such a great experience. And then my new friend Larry thought I could do anything. He thought, I'm like, no, I just built this. He would ask me to build these things for this and then. I'm like, Larry, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, oh, yes, you do. You're an artist. Yes, you do. And he just continually, he pushed me to different heights and trying different things. And then, I would ask Pepe, how the hell am I going to put this together?
That was that kind of is sort of like the Burning Man way, right? It's like you see someone sort of like struggling to like tie two sticks together, and then like, you're an artist. It's like, what? I am. Yeah, and congratulations, you're going to be starting to do this now. Like, it's almost like was it Tom Sawyer? Just kind of like getting people like, we need people to help build this thing, and guess what? You're it.
Definitely. Absolutely. There's such a beauty in that.
Yeah. But also something that's kind of come through in some of my conversations with many people is that like Burning Man, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like a space where it's like you have, it kind of gives you permission, you know, it's like the whole like, I mean, radical inclusion, yes, like anyone can come, but
Mhm.
like just the radical like self-expression, and it's a place where, you know, where you could just be like, feel free, go crazy, you know, just like, well, I'm just a poor science student. It's just like, well, guess what? You too can be an artist. It's like, I can. It's like, go ahead, try it out, you know, and then you just start putting like two and two things together, and then people are just like, they immediately see the results, you know, and then they're starting to Shanghai you on their project.
It's so true. I definitely fall into that category. I loved that, you know,
I mean, I'm not
the
sure there's been many
participatory effect.
people who went to Burning Man who were just like failed artists. You know, it's just like, yeah, I tried the art thing and didn't go very well. Like, you know, I'm sure it's like the success rate is probably pretty high, right?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's pretty magical. I still get to witness and experience some of that. You know, I love seeing people, younger people now that I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
But I love seeing them, you know, take on projects and like do their first honorarium or create their first thing, or people that have helped on my projects and come volunteer that also have never used power tools, being able to pass that on.
Mm-hmm.
And the gift of that, and then just watching some of these people just blossom in the arts the same way that I had, you know,
Yeah.
after that camel experience. And so it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. So do you mentor anyone, or is it just more informal kind of?
Me? Oh, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, no, absolutely. Pretty informal, but I did a huge project for Burning Man. That was, one day I had a phone call, and it was this young girl, 16 years old, from Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a Girl Scout. And mind you, I've never been a Girl Scout. I
Mm-hmm.
was, so I knew nothing about the Girl Scouts. I mean, I knew the organization, but I knew absolutely nothing. And she called and says, "Hi, I'm a Girl Scout from Las Vegas." You know, and I thought, okay, is this a cookie call? Is she going to sell me a bunch of cookies?
They don't normally call
And
me, but okay, like yeah.
yeah.
Cookies. Yeah.
Wow. Now they've got you working on the phone. Anyways, she was 16 years old, and I guess there's a like a final project. I can't remember what it's called now. It's something, the golden something or another. But
Mm-hmm.
in any event, it's sort of like a final project you do when you're in the Girl Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And so she tells me that she, you know, wants to build this life-size mammoth, and that she wants to build it out of
I've heard of
recycled
those.
metals. Yeah, all out of recycled metals. And the story behind it is she's grew up in Las Vegas. These four women used to go walk. She didn't know them at the time, but they became her mentors. They used to go on these walks at night. And in this area in Las Vegas where it's just sort of spreading its tendrils, you know, and growing out, and more development and more development. And, you know, she's living in this spread. These women would go for a walk, and they started finding mammal tusks and
Really?
fossils and bones. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so they went to the developer. It was being developed at the time. At the time, it was this sort of like, you know, this empty land, and it was being used as sort of a dumping ground. And that's why the Girl Scout, her name is Tahoe Mac, and she's a lovely lady, and I love her to death, and I'm still friends with her today. It was a dumping ground for trash, a legal thing. It was also a shooting range, and a legal shooting range, not a legal shooting range. And but this developer had bought this land and was starting to develop. And these women went to the developer and said, "Hey, we're finding all these fossils. It's like amazing. You know, you got to halt, stop. I mean, you got to check this out." And so they were like, yeah. And they didn't listen to him. And so they went back and they're like, seriously, like, there's all these fossils, there's history here, I mean, there's like mammoths, bones here. And they sort of, again, brushed them off and were like, don't you have anything else better to do? And they didn't realize that these women were pretty powerful women in Las Vegas. And they said, well, actually, no. And they took it all the way to Washington, D.C., and they saved the land and shut down the developer. And it's now a national state park. And it's a really cool story. So this Girl Scout hears this story and they become her new heroes, in her hometown. And she decides, okay, this is amazing. It's now a national state park. The land, has been saved. And she decides at the head of the park, we need to have a giant mammoth. It's going to be made out of all recycled metals found on the, on the land, because it was a legal dumping ground, right? And shooting range. And so, mind you, she's 16. She doesn't know how to weld. She's never built a sculpture, but she has this grand vision, and I'm listening to her, and the enthusiasm, the excitement, and
that's the key ingredient that she has in spades, right?
I love. She had it, and I remembered a younger me, when I wanted to build a camel, and I was not sure what I was doing, and the help and actually, the helping, teaching me how to use those power tools, and coming by to help with the structural aspect of this little tiny sculpture, which then evolved into other sculptures and then evolved into me wanting to make this, grandiose, at that time, like 29-foot tree.
Wow.
I just couldn't say no. They came to her mom, her brother, they came to San Francisco and I taught them how to weld, all of them. And I ended up moving out there with Flash. Flash came too, moving into their house. She was now, by the time I got there, because they were fundraising and raising money for this project, so by the time I got there, she was in her last year of high school. And it was crazy. It was a crazy thing. We moved there. We had an incredible place, XL Steel, that allowed us to use their shop. And I also worked with this other artist who is still a very dear friend of mine, Luis Valero Rico. He did the interior structure of this sculpture, and actually a sculpture in and of itself. So he did the whole skeletal framework of the mammoth. It's really quite beautiful. And then what I helped with was the entire skinning of it, the outside parameter of it, and the head, in doing it in recycled metals, and working along Tahoe, and the whole community. Those 4 ladies that saved that land, 2 of them helped. They were like, in their they were, in their late 60s, and they were out there with grinders, using the plasma cutter. I mean, it was pretty fantastic. It was a beautiful project to work on because it really brought in this whole community in Las Vegas, as well as I asked a lot of friends to come, and I said, hey, this is massive. We're going to need help.
Wow.
Do you mind if I invite friends? So it was a rolling door in their house, of people and friends coming to help on this beautiful creature. And it's now the head of the National State Park, Ice Age fossils, in Las Vegas. And it was a very beautiful experience, and diversity of people working on it. I mean, we had Girl Scouts. I had Girl Scouts. We were out there collecting bullet casings and walking around on this land, to try to collect stuff to put on it.
Wow.
And
how long did this take?
It was oh my God, I was there forever. It took first of all, it took from the moment when I first met them, it took about a year, a little longer than a year and a half to get the project, funded and a place for it to happen. But in that time frame, Tahoe came to visit, and she came to visit, and we welded. We made a small model of a mammoth out of recycled materials. We collected materials on site. We collected materials off site. Like, there was a lot of legwork that went into it before it actually happened. But then, and then while there, I, and mind you, I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I'm going to Las Vegas. I'm going to live with a Girl Scout. I mean, hello, but a friendship had truly developed, and I was down for the count, and I'm glad I was. I mean, it was a very magical experience. I love Lou, the other artist we work with. I love her whole family, are amazing. Her mom,
like burners, or did any of them been to Burning
No,
Man?
oh no, this is another story. Meanwhile, when we're building it, they're like, we should take this to Burning Man. And this was the year that Larry died, after he died. And I had been asked to build a memorial for him. And so I knew that I had that commitment, that I had to do that. But we did end up taking this mammoth to Burning Man. They had never been to Burning Man. We had another guy there, this guy, Dev, wonderful man, who showed up to help volunteer one day with the sculpture. He actually was a Vietnam vet. He had been a sniper in his previous lifetime. Yeah. And he had a lot of trauma behind it. And he had, and he was a beautiful man, and he was working on dealing with all of this past trauma. And we taught him how to weld. And one day I look over and he's standing there and he's got tears just streaming down his face. And I'm like, Dev, what's wrong? What happened? And he's got the bullet shells, right? And he's pounding them. And so we used them. We used them around. We encased the tusks of the mammoth in these bullet casings, and then also as the foot pads. And he's sitting and he's creating. And he goes, I never in my lifetime thought that I would be using something like this to make art.
Wow.
And it was so beautiful. So beautiful. It was just a really beautiful, powerful moment that I'll never, ever forget. And seeing that transformation, that healing transformation that could happen.
Well, I imagine something like a bullet or a bullet casing, like someone from his background, just there's probably there was only one use for it, and it was entirely negative. So years later, just being like, oh no, like here's another use that's entirely different. I mean, that's mind blowing. You're like, yeah,
incredibly mind blowing. It was phenomenal. It was It was beautiful. Just the power to take life, the power to give life. Oh, yeah. I remember the days back in Burning Man when they had the shooting range out there, and and that was absolutely fun. And
did you ever take part in it?
I did, absolutely. Yeah.
I was around those years, but never. I don't know. I was never near it. I don't know. I didn't
probably
have any,
smart. Yeah. I don't think anybody got hurt, but probably a smart idea. I mean, obviously, I'm sure nobody there really knew, was a sharpshooter. But, they'd line up all these stuffed animals. And
that was also a different time back then. I remember 96, 97, 98. You would just hear people would throw 5-gallon propane cylinders into fires.
I
mean, they would just you just hear these distance just whoops, what was that? And people did all these homemade explosives and homemade rockets and fireworks and stuff, and so. Is there so for the Vegas the Mammoth project? Is there also for that park? Is there a website? I mean, I guess I could look it up later. But
yeah. You can.
What's the name of the park?
I think so. Yeah, it's called the Monumental Mammoth, and it's at the Ice Age Fossils Park, National State Park. It is the women are called Protector of Tool Springs. So there's several places that you can look up. Tahoe Mac, she has a website. Also, Lou has it on his website. Lou Valera Rico. It's on my website. It was a magical story and a magical time of all these people that came together to help this Girl Scout. And the cool thing about it is what a phenomenal young lady. Now she's a young adult, beautiful young adult. Yeah. To have this dream, and to inspire, other Girl Scouts, to build and, use power tools. Mind you, we couldn't put a welder in a 12-year-old Girl Scouts hands at the moment, but at that time frame, but just the legacy of that is so remarkable and amazing, and it went to Burning Man, and it brought this, like I say, this diverse group of people. I mean, you have this now, I believe she was like 17 and a half, teenager, setting it up with Dev, this Vietnam vet, and this wonderful, brilliant photographer, Roxy, who actually lives out near Gerlach nowadays, transgender, lovely, wonderful, beautiful woman who I adore. These very straight park rangers all at Burning Man together. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Park ranger, they're out there with their park ranger outfits on, and they're talking about the park, and they're handing out pamphlets, and they've never been to Burning Man. It's straight as an arrow, and there they are,
So is Tahoe Mac, does she now go to Burning Man, or?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's gone several years. She went from being like this amazing, incredible experience of building this mammoth, her house being overrun by people, which I think she loved, and at the same time, like, wow. At that to going to college, and that next year it was COVID happened, and she moved away from home. Yeah, so she went from this height of like this whole Burning Man, going to Burning Man, being like this whole Burning Man star. She was very eloquent because she had a great way of speaking, very captivating and moving and intelligent, and so she won a lot of hearts, with her project and her vision, and to go from this experience and then go off to college, and COVID hits, was a major shift, from, and so, but she goes to Burning Man, and I believe she's actually making an art car this year.
An art car? Really? Wow.
I think she's making a Nautilus art car. I'm not certain, but I believe I heard that somewhere down the pipeline.
All right. Well, let's get back to you. So you build this camel in 94, and I take it you burned it?
I burned it. Absolutely. Yeah. I burned it. Well, I mean, it was not coming back to my living room. Let me tell you that.
So then on years after that, it's like, what else? So like when we went in 96, like you said,
Now, okay, well, like I said, I met Larry. Larry thought I was an artist, and I really thought I just made a camel. And he's like, oh, no, you can do this, you can do that, And I definitely had the bug. I loved my camel so much and the experience of making it. So I took on whatever he thought I could do, okay? I mean, there were a lot of fundraisers, local ones at the time then. So I made, and it was this Helco theme, but I made all these crazy sort of props and wild things for the theme that year. And I made these like wild torches for Pepe's opera. There was a whole procession at that point.
Yeah.
It was the art was, on a linear art pathway. It was straight down the artworks that were placed, and then it went from that to a round circle where the installations were placed. This was smaller back in the day when there weren't, several. I don't know how many hundreds of installations or art is placed nowadays, but but
too
back
many
then,
that you can even see as a.
Oh no, you can't even see them all. Every time I go, I'm like, I get so sad. How did I miss that? That is amazing.
You
There's
have to
so
have
many.
some sort of art car or something, and
yeah. You got to be able to get around. You definitely do.
Yeah.
It's hard to see them all. It truly is. So at Helco, anyways, and Larry, he lived up the street from me. So our friendship just, grew and grew and grew. So I started making all of these things. I made another camel, believe it or not. There's a group called the Seamen. They were once part of SRL.
Yeah.
Cal Speletich. And so they loved my camel too. He asked me to start making props so his machines and robots could eat them, and blow them up and all that kind of thing. So I started making,
That's an
atomic
honor.
bombs in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
living room. I started making big rats and like strange things. And I definitely caught the bug. So I had made it was this whole kind of pyramid scheme of the camel from the Camel cigarettes, and the idea was, you smoke one, you can build, the more and more, there was a whole storyline to it, but it was part of their Helco installation. And that also, that also was burned and destroyed. And
so were you still like in school for microbiology at this point?
I was no. I was done with the school, and I was like, I had no interest in science whatsoever at this point. I literally, I'm grateful for studying science, but I absolutely, Burning Man definitely changed my life. I definitely, who knows what I could have been today? No, no, I definitely was smitten, and I really did not want to work in a lab for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I love science and I love everything about it, but I truly love creating and making. And
well, it's a good background to help with your art in the process of building.
Oh, it
art
definitely
and stuff too,
is.
right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, it definitely is. It comes in handy all the time, and it also shapes a lot of the art.
So did you you graduated, you get like a degree in microbiology, and you're just like, okay, now I'm an artist?
Yeah, but I didn't really plan on becoming an artist. I kind of got swept up in the excitement, at the time, of Larry, and we're going to make this and we're going to do this. And we had a really great relationship where we would just bounce off ideas. He'd have his theme, and so, I loved watching like these storylines grow over the years.
So you build your camel, and then you get sucked into like other people's projects. Like, but at what point do you start being like, you know what, I need to like do some of my own projects?
Well, I'll tell you, and what happened was, and so then, actually I got like from Larry, hired me to be his personal art assistant for like a year there or so, and so so I just helped him with his with the art out there. I had a card. I was really proud of my card. But I realized, okay, now, what I think I want to make something, and I helped. So what it was is I helped like with him. I would meet these artists and they're working, and they would be working on these projects. Some of them, Larry definitely would help, just sort of plant a seed and they'd be off and running, And I volunteered on a lot of different people's projects. And like I said, I made a lot of different things throughout these years, but the first truly big project of my own was this, and I helped on Michael Christian's project. I helped Pepe. I helped, I worked with Cal a lot with semen at that time. And I decided that I wanted to do my own project, my own larger project, right? And and that was the year, it was 1999. So there's some years between there where I helped other people. I would make some things on a smaller scale, like these strange tentacles one year, and then a lot of things that were sort of they were kind of to facilitate other art projects, right? And whether they were kind of in that costume realm, but a lot of them were props. A lot of them were I guess I would call them props, or or smaller art pieces that accentuated other art. I made for Pepe. I made these torches. They were all sort of masks and faces, and they were in his procession in one of his operas. But then I decided I wanted to make this this tree, and the whole idea of the tree is a bone tree, right? And I became obsessed with this whole concept. So that year, the theme was the Wheel of Time, and so the installations were to travel, and they were placed in a circle. They were to travel into the past, the present, and into the future. And so Larry wanted me to make something that, that traveled, right, that had to do with the theme. He wanted me to make something to do with that theme, and he wanted me to make a DNA coil,
Like
which makes sense, right? Like a helix, DNA. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And but then I had this idea brewing. I had helped. I definitely got infected. I helped Michael Christian. He made a bone arch. There were a lot of bones out there. I knew where to get, where they were. And I wanted to make this this tree out of bones, and it was sort of that cycle of life and death, and that starkness of bones, what they represent, and turn it into this image of life, and how out there on the playa there doesn't seem to be one existing thing, right? Even though there are, but there's no trees, and and the animals are out, there's ranches all around the Black Rock Desert, and that's where a lot of the bones were collected. But so I wanted to make, and I thought bones are a window into the past. It's, they're what's left of us when we die, paleontologists use them, like the mammoth fossils, right? Those bones, and they carry so much weight in history. And so it was the first time when Larry asked me to build something, I went back to him and said, no. And you would think with my science thing that I'd be all excited about the helix, and one day I think I got to make one because DNA is fascinating. But at that moment in time, I wanted to build this bone tree, right? And so, I went back and I'm like, no, I want to build this, I want to do this, and so I was granted the idea to make it, and so at that point it was a leaping off point from being his assistant to becoming my own artist and trying to take on my own project, and
was the bone tree like? Was it like on wheels and it moved around?
It was on wheels, yeah. I mean, it was used off of. So the other thing is that the Michael Christian made this beautiful sculpture. I really miss it. And
the archway, that one? It's like the
archway he made, but he also made this nebulous entity. Wild looking.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? It was wild. I loved it. It was incredible. And afterwards it stayed on the ranch out there at Burning Man, and it caught on fire. And it was, he wrapped it in cellophane and shrink wrap, and it was fiberglass on certain parts of it. And anyways, it caught on fire out there, and so it was really a tragic thing. And it was a really, really cool sculpture, and so they had they had this carcass, as you say, this
like metal
sculpture
armature kind of thing.
Metal armature, and that's what Larry said. Oh, you know what? You can revive that Michael Christian thing, to make the DNA helix, right? And I'm like, and I thought, great, because the bottom, it was built. I'm not, at this point, this is my first sculpture, so the structural part of it, the roots of it, and the, was built, but it was a lot of work and hardship. It went back to the place where he built it. In San Francisco, where I then created the bone tree and tried to give new life to his old sculpture. Yeah, I had that thing. I had that base. Brought to San Francisco, and I created it in the Bayview. In fact, I'm down the street from there right now.
Wow.
And
logistically, I'm just like, because I thought you would have built it out in the ranch or something. Because the armature.
It would have made more sense to make it out there. It truly would have. But there, I had people here that I had made, a lot of friends and community and people that were willing to help me with this dream, just like that Girl Scouts dream, I did not know how to weld. I learned how to weld on this tree. I was in the dirt with this burnt up sculpture that my friend made that I actually helped build on, and I'm trying to now turn it into a tree. And Pepe came. He came, and in true Pepe fashion, he came to help me. And I was working with a generator. The welder was on a generator. I'm outside in this lot, and he shows me, we cut a couple pieces of square tubing, and he goes, here's how you make a branch. And he cuts a few pieces, right? And he turns them at different angles, right? And he shows me how to weld. And I swear to God, within a half hour, he goes, all right, you do it now. You got it. And he walks away. And I sat there in the dirt with this metal and this generator in the wheel. I'm like, what the fuck? And I tried and I tried, and I continued to try, and I continued to curse, and and then this beautiful lady, Scotty Chapman, came, and she gave me some more lessons, and it's been that way throughout my art career, because I didn't study art in school, and so I have no art training whatsoever. And
because I was interviewed Lady B a week or two ago, and one of the things that we were talking about was just like Burning Man and like in the art community, or I guess the worldwide, I don't know, professional or whatever, like official like art community, because I think like in the beginning, the art community kind of like turned up its nose. It was like, oh, these are just like amateurs going into the desert, whatever. But now, like so many years later, it's like, I think that's a much different story, right? I mean,
it is. Yeah, it truly is. I know in San Francisco right now, they're placing a lot of art from San Francisco. There's some controversy behind it because it's going through not the normal channels, but it definitely has changed,
like outsider art to more, I don't know if we call it insider now, but
yeah, but it's definitely, in San Francisco, they started placing art in Hayes Valley in this park, and generally most of it was coming from Burning Man because it was large scale, and that was coming from the Art Commission. And now there's this group, the Big Art Loop, and they are placing art in San Francisco, and most of it is coming from Burning Man because they're looking for large scale impact. And so there's several sculptures now along the Embarcadero. I'm lucky enough to be one of them. That mermaid is there, which ironically it was never been to Burning Man, but it was built for a show in England. And and it was built on site. I flew out to England.
Was it the We're from Dust kind of, or?
It was a Radical Horizons. And it was really cool. It was at this place, Chatsworth Estate, in the middle of England. And they placed a lot of art that was already built, but then they had 2 participatory builds. They wanted to kind of demonstrate and show and bring some of the Burning Man community and the ethos and participatory aspects of that there. And the Duke and the Duchess lived there. I mean, we lived there. We lived at Chatsworth, we lived in it used to be the old horse stables, and now it was kind of a little cafe, but it was beautiful stone, and we're and we were upstairs, like we slept next to the cook, and the Duke and Duchess were in the main house. It was wild. Yeah, it was very wild. So I went there, and they asked me to build it because if I would build something on site, which is always a scary thing to do. It really challenges you. You're in a new studio, not something that you're familiar with. I couldn't bring tools because the whole electricity is different, so they ordered all these things.
It's also expensive to travel with all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, they had a shop. I took over their shop. It was the landscaping team, and they were also just like, blown away by what I was
And
doing.
is
But
it
they
just,
loved me.
are you like by
They did.
yourself, or do you have like anyone
No,
helping
no,
you?
no, no,
Or-
no, no, no. I said I brought 4 friends. I brought
Oh,
4
okay.
people flash game with me. I brought 3. I brought Metal Heather, who runs the metal department in for Burning Man.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't have done it without her. And I brought I guess, wait a minute, there were 4 of us, and this woman, Kathy Richardson. So we were there, and I also, which I have a tendency to do, where I don't travel alone. I told my friends, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to England. I'm going to make this mermaid." And so I had friends come until they have a lot of rules in Britain, but we had a lot of people that came through the Burning Man community to help work on the mermaid while we were there. It was a very fast build. It was 6 weeks. We had 6 weeks to do it.
What do you think that,
And
like say, when you were an undergraduate in microbiology and you're in the lab and you're plating things on plates of agar, like, and all of a sudden this like dusty older woman like from the future comes by and it's just like, drop that agar plate, like someday you're going to be known as like it's an internationally known artist.
I would have
Just be like,
never
what? Who's
thought
this
that.
crazy person?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, definitely a complete switch. Like, you couldn't get any different. And I would have never foresaw that this is my life I'm living now,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So, where did you grow up? You said you grew up in Venice Beach. Yeah.
Venice Beach, California. I grew up by the water, I grew up in the water. My parents used to have to yell and scream at dinner time, "Hey, get out of the water, it's dinner," kind of thing.
My parents had a bell.
Had a bell.
Yeah, because I would travel far, like, we don't know where they are, just ring the bell and like they'll come. Like, yeah.
I feel like, poor kids these days, especially the ones in the city, they don't get to run wild like we used to.
Yeah.
Where
Nowadays,
did you grow up?
it's like you turn off the router and they're like, what the hell? The internet went down,
Right. I know. They'd be mortified in my studio today.
Yeah. So
and then I moved to San Francisco and and then to study science, see where that led. So sometimes I call myself the mad scientist.
Was that like your early vision when you were like a teen or you're going to college?
No, actually, no, not at all. Honestly, I'll tell you what happened and how that happened. And but how it happened is that no, not whatsoever at all. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I had a few kind of difficult years in my early life. In my between, I guess, sort of in high school to like 21 or so, I had some difficult period, and I didn't go immediately to college. And then I, but was able to get through this time in my life, and I went to school, and I decided to go back to school, and I took you got to take a science course, a biology course. I believe that's a requirement.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have signed up for it ever. I think it's one of the basics. You take a literature, biology.
Yeah,
math.
the core courses.
Yeah, those, there's these core courses, right? So I take this biology class, and I tell you something, it opened my eyes. I had the same enthusiasm that I had for Burning Man and art. I just couldn't believe it. Like the whole magic of science and the cellular makeup and the beauty of it, and and photosynthesis and all this stuff I knew nothing about. And because I had some of these hard times in my life prior to that and difficulties, to me the magic of life and the beauty of it, it woke up something inside of me that that wasn't there, and I just yearned for more knowledge and deeper, and getting into the cellular aspect of it and into the microbiology aspect of it too. Diseases, where they come from, where do they start, how do you cure them, and that sort of led me down that pathway, and which was really, really beautiful. And I was like a total nerd. Like I changed like into this total sort of like from surfer chick to nerdy, like science person,
Mhm.
and I loved it. But it was so wonderful. And it was so beautiful to me. And truly still is. But there's still, there's a lot that, in that career of science is pretty amazing and magical. But
It's a great
but
background. Yeah.
yeah, it is a great background. I did not see myself working in a lab. And like I said, I wanted to work for CDC, but I did not want it. Really, that's not a glamorous job whatsoever. I thought I'd be a detective. I'd get to hunt down all the causes of major, diseases. And then I get to be a hero and I would save the world, But no, that generally does not happen. It happens in labs for years and years and years and years and years. And it's not. So I had a whole fantasy life. Okay. So I had an active
You get a fedora and a whip
life.
and a pistol, and
of what my science career was definitely the mad scientist realm. It was not. It had nothing based in reality, and my passion for it too was really not based in what are you really going to do with this. And so I think when as it started looking like okay, it just the art was truly another thing to learn, another kind of avenue to explore and experience and manifest and create. And so I think that there was kind of this unlikely, divergence into art. And I'm lucky that I went to Burning Man because, like I said, I did not study art. I did not, there's some holes in my education and my, lack of things. But then there's also, I'm lucky. I had personal mentors through Burning Man. I was able to learn skills I never would have, or I would have, but at a cost, or years in school, or I'll be right with you, Frankie. One sec. I got really lucky, to be able to help on all these projects and to learn all these skills, and then to have this this very welcoming community and an area where you can, where it's encouraged to explore, and where you can create these amazing things and things on a large scale. And no, I never thought I would have a sculpture built in England and it comes back and it's on the Embarcadero. It's magic to me, or one in front of Ice Age fossils, like National State Park. It's very magical and beautiful. And I feel very grateful to Burning Man and the community and the people I've met, their family, and to Larry. I love Larry. And yeah,
so
it's just been amazing.
So okay, well, I guess we'll get to our last question. Is so what
okay,
is
good, because I got a guy outside my studio right now.
Okay.
His name is Frankie. He's in a wheelchair. I'm helping him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like the impact.
Quickly, what's the
just the impact or influence of Burning Man on your life.
Yeah. Oh, it's truly impacted my life. Obviously, I was studying science, and now I'm making art. It allowed me the freedom to do so, and I definitely ran down that rabbit hole. So it's influenced my life vastly. I love community art, I have to say. So it's also part of my practice too. I try to do 1 or 2 murals, community murals, mosaic murals a year. Or every other year. And I love doing them because mosaics is a really fun medium for people that have no art experience. And kids can do it. Older people can do it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can smash a hammer or break, there's a fine tuning. They're really incredible art to mosaics if you along that route. But yet I like to do them at schools, hospitals, community involvement and engagement, and it's fun for me. I love kids. I still do. They get me out of my head. So I really enjoy their silliness and their creativity, and so I enjoy working with kids at least once a year, or every other year. To do one of these murals, to create something. They have so much magic in it, and it's, since I don't have any children of my own, it's fun for me to have them for a month, and then but I definitely Yeah. So I think that's definitely something that came from Burning Man, is sort of that collective community feel and working with others.
So what keeps you coming back? I mean, have you been pretty much consistently, except for the COVID years, like gone every year, or?
No. I actually, no. Actually, there was a period there where I took some years off, like yourself, but kind of intermittently I would go, but I wouldn't go for like 3 years, and I'd go, and I'll tell you what got me back is Larry. What got me back.
Ah.
He's like, wait a minute, Dana, what are you doing? Why are, and he would kind of pull me into one of his things, so I came back and made like, and then I'd be off and running, with my own idea that I wanted to make the next year. So he definitely, he would lure me back in, he had a great fishing line. And I was, and good bait, I'll tell you that. But he lured me back in, and now, I've gone pretty consistently now for several years. But I do take a year off or two. I
think that's healthy. Yeah, I mean,
it is healthy. It's good, And some of these big projects, man, they take a lot out of you.
Oh yeah,
they give you so much, but they take a lot out. So, but I do think it's healthy. I think it is, And then you can be all nostalgic and miss the magic and go back and or you can, it's just or do other things.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just I don't know if this quite applies, but like something a friend told me many years ago, and I think he was talking about like psychedelics, but he was saying like repeated revelation ceases to satisfy. Like, so like if you just go like, this is my 40th year straight, and I'm going year after year after, like after a while, it becomes like, I don't know if it's like routine or just not special anymore, but it's kind of nice to just like take a year off, go travel or do something different, or spend some time with like friends and family, and then come back and like new ideas and refreshed, So are there any new ideas you're working on, or?
Right now I am, I'm not doing a project for Burning Man this year, but I wish I was, honestly. I mean, I'm doing a small light thing, but I didn't, I was super busy, during their whole kind of, honorarium process of applications. I didn't have time to even think about it, but I have some things in, some projects in the works. I have a mural coming up, and I have a couple other exciting prospects, more city oriented, and that hopefully come to fruition, that are in all the discussion phase right now. So hopefully they materialize, and I think they will. So there's some magic that hopefully is on its way, and I have a few. I have a few small, lovely commissions right now that are allowing me to survive and are really fun to work on. So I feel very blessed and lucky.
Do you have any sultans that want to fly you to Dubai to build anything, or?
No, but listen,
but you're open to the possibility.
I will get on that plane. I am open to that. I am open. Yeah. No, not that glamorous. I wish, but it's going to happen, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, like we're saying that, just the whole like art at Burning Man, where it was like 30, 40 years ago, it was like, oh, that's just a bunch of amateurs. So like now, I mean, it's a scene. Right? I mean, I've heard that there's people that like
it truly is.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard
art. Some it's landing in Europe. It's landing in South Africa. It's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I do have to go. I got my friend here waiting for me. I'm going to help him.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll
I'm almost there.
We'll talk soon. All right.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe, rate, and review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. The more reviews the show has, the more likely it will even appear in search results. Also, please tell a friend and share this show with anyone that you think might like it. Word of mouth reaches quite far, especially in the Burning Man community. If you would like to contact us, please send an email to shadowofthemanpodcast shadowoftheman@gmail.com. You can also follow Shadow of the Man on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. The links for all of these are available at shadowoftheman.com. Feel free to use any of these social media accounts to provide any feedback you might have. Your thoughts on the show are greatly appreciated. Thank you, and see you soon for a new episode of The Shadow of the Man.
Thank you for listening to this latest show. We have to make another one, so gotta go. Don't worry, for next month we already have one in the can. Very soon you'll be listening to a new Shadow of the Man.